Yeah, it's my boy in the Praetor suit!
Yep, we're rocking the 2016 Praetor suit in this part.
I love this one so much.
Like I said, I was originally going to use this one for Arc Complex and have Commander Keen for this level, but the UAC podium worked just too well with this level. So something that I wanted to talk about last part but forgot was that the entire reason we went to Arc Complex in the first place was because we didn't know where the third Hell Priest was, and we concluded that Dr. Hayden would know where he is. And I don't know why he would know where he is.
That's a good question. How the hell do you know that?
Yeah, it's almost like they had to come up with a really arbitrary reason for us to involve Dr. Hayden in the plot again.
Put a pin on that for Ancient Gods. I don't have...
I will put a pin in that for Ancient Gods in regards to Hayden himself, right. But... yeah.
What...
Designed by Dr. Samuel Hayden as part of the anti-demonic defense grid.
I understand.
I get it. Plan to blow the ever-loving...
You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Mars.
Yay! So that line became a meme.
Yes, it did.
This is an ARC broadcast.
Especially since it shows shoot a hole in Mars in your objectives. But yeah, so I have a theory regarding this level and the one before it, Arc Complex. Real quick, right here, we're going to get the Sentinel armor.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. But this level and Mars Core that we're going to and Arc Complex feel very out of step with the rest of the game. It almost
like they made them first, maybe?
It's almost like they are part of a more direct sequel to Doom 2016, or at least Mars Core feels that way.
Like how DMC1 was really like... what's the name of that game? Zombie
it was
game?
A repurposed Resident Evil game.
Yes, it was Resident Evil, like, yeah. So,
what I think is that originally Eternal was going to be a more straightforward sequel to Doom 2016, more sci-fi focused. And I think that Mars Core is a relic from that era of development.
Man, it sucks because I loved this level. I would have loved more like this and the other one. Like, don't get me wrong.
But
I warmed up to this game. But,
Yeah, so what I think happened is that as they were fleshing out the lore, they started falling in love with the new things they were coming up with. The Con Maker, the Hell Priests, Necroval, all of the more fantasy elements. And as such, the more 2016-esque sci-fi stuff got cut down or removed to where Mars Core was the last thing that was left.
It's funny because the third game leans all the way into that because you're in funny medieval times in a way.
Yep, they Doom the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that game. But, and then, we'll go a bit more into how Mars Core feels out of step with the rest of the game. But I think that Arc Complex in particular was created to kind of wash their hands of 2016, to take all of the hanging plot threads and just tie them up in a nice little bow so that they never have to worry about them again, and that they can just focus on this fantasy era of Doom instead of whatever they're going for in 2016. Because, like, Hayden, he's in pieces, and all he can be is a voice on the radio now, but once again, we'll put a pin in that for Ancient Gods. The Ark, which was the logical consequence of what would happen with the demonic invasion, is now basically pointless. It's just us against Hell and Heaven. We get the demonic crucible back, but we aren't using it for anything yet. It's not really that important.
Yeah. What's the name?
I don't know.
Ah, shoot. What is the fighting game that has like heaven or hell? I can't remember. Is it? I don't know fighting games that well.
Fighting game? I don't know.
Yeah.
Soul Calibur?
No. It's something something, but the beast. Actually, you might be right. I might be confusing something with Blaze Blue. I don't know. Anyway, my point is, hearing Heaven and Hell makes me think of that. Makes me think of Bayonetta. Makes me think of DMC. It's all a mess. It's fun.
Yeah.
Makes me think of panning and stocking. If I'm ever good at game making, I will make a panning and stocking game and get sued into oblivion.
Yeah, so, and another thing I wanted to bring up last time, but forgot, was the Ballista. We briefly saw the Ballista with no weapon mods, and I kind of like its design, but I never get to actually use it, because I always get it. At the same time, I have a bunch of Sentinel batteries, and can buy the mod bots here in the Fortress of Doom. So... I like the thing of like the base ballista has its arms with the cables folded in real close, and then for the arbalest they like fan out backwards, and then for the destroyer blade they fan out forwards.
I see.
Just a good weapon design, I think.
Yeah, because it's basically a. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Crossbow.
It is, but there's a specific name for technology that's out of time.
Anachronistic?
Yes, it's an anachronistic compound recurve bow. It's really cool. Thank you for being my dictionary. Could not remember the word. So, is the BFG in the first game, it was the BFG 1000, right?
9,000.
9,000.
It's conventionally been the BFG 9000.
I see.
So this scene right here sticks out as very clear proof that this is from an earlier draft of Eternal script.
Hey, it's the same intern from the last level.
I think it's a different guy.
I see. He looked very similar to the other guy.
I mean, that intern was an ARC intern. This is the UAC.
Oh, yeah. See a key card.
I remember the QuakeCon presentation where they showed off this scene, and yeah, it was pretty hype, which leads me to believe that this is one of the only things from early development that survived because they put so much effort and liked it so much.
Okay.
Another piece of evidence: taking the plasma rifle. I'm pretty sure that this level would have taken place earlier on in the game, like second or third level. It would actually be where you get the plasma rifle. Right. As it stands, it's like, huh?
Because otherwise,
what?
Doom Guy's like, I could use another one, I guess. So,
you also notice that I'm using the red chrome skin. This is the first of the chromes that you can only get by completing a couple of the mastery levels 4 times.
Oh, nice. So remember when you said that it's a miracle these demons are able to survive at all after what you do to them?
I think so.
I want to just point out, these demons that we saw out the window, they're in the vacuum of space, and they're not hurting at all, as far as we can tell.
I mean, we're on Phobos right now, which is a moon of Mars. I imagine it's been terraformed to have an atmosphere.
Okay. Mars's moons are funny. One will be thrown into oblivion, the other will crash into Mars someday. Huh. How did you get the gun to turn like that?
Oh, I was going up against
okay. I'm
an
amazed they
obstacle, so it just
programmed
sort of
that.
moved.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Most games don't
So
do
yeah,
that.
so there's a lot of things here that don't make sense. A lot of things. When I first played this game, I actually thought that this facility was an ARC facility, despite it being beaten over your head that it's a UAC facility. Because the idea of it being UAC makes no sense and contradicts everything that we've been shown in the game thus far.
Right, because unless they meant, oh, the UAC has fallen on Earth, not in general, that doesn't make sense.
I just mean that we know what the UAC was like in 2016, and it was basically like this. But then, in Eternal, in its 3rd and 4th levels, we see the modern UAC under the control of the Hell Priests, D. Gronok mostly, and it's completely different. It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know? It's basically him, some possessed former humans, and some demons doing black metal
Magic.
science magic.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah,
And here...
My only thought is, like, it's kind of an Illuminati thing, like, oh, these guys were in the shadows the whole time, and it's, like, not a very satisfying explanation.
But then we get the dialogue in that hallway scene where it's like, corporate wants to let him through. What? Why? I have strained my brain to come up with an explanation for those lines, and I can't think of one, because
The only
who
thing
is corporate?
It's Hayden. Maybe he was
No,
like...
it can't be. He's in charge of the Ark now. Not the UAC.
Oh, you're right. Oh, man, that is confusing.
And why Hayden isn't around to give orders? He's on the Fortress of Doom.
Well,
He's
right,
helping us.
but he could,
and
like,
why would
send
he
a
want the demons to
transmission.
get through?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. They said... Corporate said let them... Oh, man, that is weird.
It's like the impression seems to be that the higher-ups are corrupt and in line with demons, kind of like in 2016 with Olivia Pierce, although everyone was down with the demon. The whole company was a cult with her as its pseudo figurehead.
Right.
But the guys are like distressed. They're ostensibly anti-demons killing everyone, and yet, and Diag Ronok is dead, so it can't be him.
Right.
Almost like they just threw this in here because they were loath to get rid of it, even though it doesn't match the game they made.
It definitely feels like they were a few drafts short of making it all work.
And I know a lot of people are going to say it doesn't matter, but I mean...
It doesn't, but
if you're
also it's nice.
If you're going to have it, then do it well.
Yeah.
Or don't do it at all. It stinks because 2016 was so cohesive with all of its lore.
It felt really nice. Here's hoping the pendulum swings back the other way for Dark Age and not the other way.
Yeah, I like to feel reward for being invested in things, even if they're not the primary purpose.
It reminds me...
And I don't feel that way with Eternal.
Yeah. It reminds me of another kind of horror-filled, just eldritch horror kind of thing series has another lore problem, which is the Kirby series. And spoilers for Star Allies, if anybody cares. So, there's the idea that Void Termina is the anti-Kirby. That's a well-known, believed headcanon, but apparently that's just a mistranslation. But it sucks because it works so well that it's like, how could this not be true? So, it's just, I see what you mean, where you're like, wait, how am I thought I knew the lore, and yet I'm wrong? So, yeah, I know what you mean.
My brain briefly stopped working when these guys came out. I've never had them actually get in position down here before. I was like, maybe I should, like, shoot them, and maybe I...
You know, I also had a brain fart here, but it was more about me trying to find that extra life.
Yeah, and another thing that I'm scratching my brain over is the relationship between the Ark and the UAC.
Yeah.
Because with Cultist base and Doom Hunter base, it seems like the two of them would be on opposite sides. Like the UAC would be marching alongside the demons against the Ark. Right. But here, it's portrayed like they would be sort of uneasy allies, being like, oh, the UAC is totally against the demons, we're not a cult, it's fine, and then secretly they are, and the Ark is suspicious.
Did you just use a freeze grenade and then a frag grenade?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, they're independent, you just can only fire one, you have to switch modes. But if you do, you can fire one after the other.
Oh, wow. That would have saved my bacon last night. On that certain encounter I was talking about to you, and when we get to it, I will have a lot to say about how much pain it brought me.
I'm pretty sure I know the exact one.
It was so bad! The escalation, the thingy thing was even worse. Or was easier than that encounter. That's how bad it was.
Yeah,
and I'm on easy mode. To be fair, I just suck at the game. I like this room.
Yeah, this is a room where the part of that presentation ended off, and in that trailer, you come up here and then face off against the Archvile using the Crucible, which is most definitely not in the game. Another thing about the world building in this level, what is the BFG 10,000 shooting at, and how is it helping?
Right.
But yeah, so I went over there to be like, oh hey, this is where that Archvile came out. Which, in the master level version of this level, they actually did put an Archvile up there as a reference to that trailer.
Archvile so much.
Warning, BFG 10,000 is firing.
They are surprisingly hardy. Very beefy.
So I love this for two reasons. Like this little sequence here. I love going through an operating machine. Like, you get to see all the parts moving, yada yada, all the pieces.
Oh yeah, that's great.
But I'll say in a minute why I love the other thing. But I guess, because this is a giant BFG, it would be like if there was a Metroid level where you went through, like, say the space parts made a giant version of your arm cannon, and now you're having to spelunk through your own tech that's been mega-sized.
Ah, that would be really cool.
Because clearly the pirates may suck at reverse engineering at first, but eventually they figure that stuff out.
I mean, hey, they had troopers for each of Samus's beams in Prime 1.
Yeah, they couldn't solve the one glaring issue that would have made them invincible, but oh well.
Yep, and of course the greatest piece of flavor text in Metroid history, the Morph Ball prototypes.
Metroid Prime proves that she's not just curled up into a ball. If you're going by that as, like, your canon.
I like the idea that even when we go into Morph Ball mode, we're still seeing her first-person perspective.
Yeah. Because the Chozo were transient beings, so obviously... Yeah. And it's a great idea. Although I do love the art of her sitting... She's been shrunken down, and she's sitting in a little Morph Ball car, and it's really cute. Okay.
I've had a couple of ideas of how to use the expand on the idea of the Morph Ball.
Yeah. There's some great ideas that I'd love to discuss.
Yeah, and like these guys aren't like, they don't fight and die against the Doomslayer like they would if they were a pro demon. They're just like, just stay out of his way.
I'm telling you, he's on his way. I need you to.
So the Slayers Club online site, promotional site for Doom Eternal, had a thing going in, I think, 2018, where if you got points, every month they would have a prize drawing, and I won it twice, won a minor prize, and one of them was a art, like, postcard thing of the BFG 10,000.
And that is interesting. On that note...
Boom.
Yeah. Boom! Amazing.
Yep, and there's your rapidly tapping the trigger moment.
Hell yeah.
All personnel evacuate to Mars surface. The Slayer has control.
And right here, it feels like we're getting a neglected part of 2016 where we see what the UAC would think of the Slayer running around, because in 2016 they were already all dead.
Right. So here's the funny thing. I find it funny the BFG 9000 is just a BFG 9000, or 10,000 is just a BFG 9000 crammed into some kind of insane multiplier.
Yeah. I want to say that the BFG did make it over into Quake, and I mean, from the beginning, it's been the BFG 9000. I think one of the Quake games might have called it the BFG 9001.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I think this is the first time we ever had a BFG 10,000.
So I wanted to bring it up when the comms person was saying, warning, the Slayer has the BFG.
Yeah.
People suspect, if I need to look this up, but supposedly, if what I heard is true, she doesn't say BFG, she just says big fucking gun, but you can't hear it because everything's going crazy, but people data mined, and I'm gonna have to see if I'm right about that.
You can use the
Huh.
facility escape pods to get down to the Mars core, but we have no way of reaching it from here.
So here's what confuses me. What happened, like, what happened to this ship since we took the thing? Like, something happened.
When I first played it, I thought that this was like fallout of the destruction of on Mars, but I'm pretty sure that this is just the an area of the facility that was on the front lines that the demons have already destroyed.
Okay. Because there are, you know, it's not unconscionable to have a level where it's like before destruction, but after destruction, even though that would involve time travel for fast travel, but it just made me wonder.
I mean, in Ancient Gods Part 1, we do effectively time travel when we use fast travel.
Yeah. Because I noticed... Oh, sorry. Some of this level looks like the earlier level, but it could just be a different part of the ship that looks the same. Anyway, go ahead.
It's weird because, you know, again, the contrast between the two different UACs it feels like we have in this game. We have the announcer lady here who's sending, like, discouraging propaganda over the loudspeakers, but it's presumably being sent to other UAC employees.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Oh,
and so the only thing I've ever been able to come up with is that there are actually effectively two UACs. There's the Olivia Pierce UAC, like Dia Gronach took over it and they're like,
right,
let's betray humanity and pro-demon and all that. But then after what happened in 2016, all the lower ranks realized, wow, we're just getting screwed over here by the higher ups. Let's take whatever we can grab and fight back.
Yeah, I feel like there's Hayden's UAC, but like you said, he's with ARC, so it doesn't work. But the only way for that theory to work is that they've been working in the shadows for forever, because, like, the Doomslayer base and the Cultist base are both technically have been around a very long time, right?
Yeah, I mean, but if there is some sort of, like, UAC schism or civil war going on, that's never even hinted at in the lore. That's just me reading between the lines.
That's subtext,
so
if it's even there. So
I think that they just didn't properly adapt this part for the game that they eventually made.
Yeah. So this room's interesting to me because it made me realize some demons will just infinitely respawn.
So with the buff totems, until you destroy them, they will continually spawn.
Okay, because I was like, all right, I've dealt with the demons. Now I can deal with the buff. Oh, they're back. Okay. So
hence why it's always a good idea to focus down that buff totem as soon as possible.
That being said, it made me realize, oh, I can farm stuff with this.
Yes, I have taken advantage of that before.
Especially on future playthroughs, because you know where the buff totem is, so you're not, like, worried you're going to die at all times. Plus, coming back to this level with the BFG from the beginning really makes a difference. My only complaint is you don't get ammo drops other than environmental drops, and that's frustrating. Oh, I can't believe we made it back.
Yeah, that was a bit sketchy.
That was like
they definitely wanted to tighten up the balancing around the BFG instead of having a rune that can give you like 3 BFG shots every encounter. So it's very much an emergency button.
Oh yeah, and I will say, you know, with infinite ammo, you can just play around with it like a toy. So who cares? Like, have you ever tried to see just how many kills you can rack up at once with the thing?
I don't think so. When I have, for various reasons, used cheat codes like infinite ammo, mostly for grinding out weekly challenges, I would usually use the Unmaker because its biggest problem is how limited the ammo supply is.
Like, sure, it's powerful, but unless you're in a room with just so many... Like, that's the thing about the Unmaker. It's not as good as the BFG in every single way.
In most ways, yeah. Alright, another secret encounter completed.
And all it does is rob me from using the BFG more, so I'm like...
I feel like that there... I mean, we'll get to the Unmaker later, but I feel like there could have been ways they could have handled it so that it would be less of a... I can either use this or the BFG pretty much all of the time.
So when you were flailing on the edge there, reminded me of the Silver Campaign Light Arrow video. That happened a lot in that playthrough.
Yes.
I need to watch that again. I was on the floor. And I really
many good animators.
And the one that Pringus McDingus did. I know I'm a dork, but it gives me chills because it's kind of sick.
Access to surface gun bridge granted. Manual loading initiated.
Rather bold of him to presume that Silver and Supersonic are relatively evenly matched.
Yeah, that's true.
That's based.
Yeah. Because I hate Silver hate.
And sign up now for the UAC Mortally Challenged Blood Drive.
I mean, it's just like everything else in Sonic. Good idea, terrible execution.
All of your blood.
Haha! That reminds me of a medical diagnosis I got once, recently. It was very Dr. Nick Riviera. It's like, you have too much blood. That's what they told me.
Time to cover you in leeches.
I know, I literally had too much blood. Like, they're like, your blood's too thick. Go, give away a lot of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's
the last rune in the game.
So I had to pay to give blood, and I was very pissed off. I'm like, I'll just get a bathtub and a razor blade and tell me when to stop. Come on.
Oh, jeez.
I know that's messed up, but it's expensive. I don't have good insurance. Oh, I love this.
It feels like Hayden's main purpose in this level is just to tell the Doomslayer that's not what that's for, you can't do that, and then the Slayer does it anyway.
You know, I wonder if in an earlier draft, Hayden was still a robot and just leading the charge here. And so he's telling you as though he's on the ship, like, stop doing this.
Who knows?
Yeah. Ooh, that was a good pop.
That's what happens when you hang out next to red barrels in video games.
I love the rechargeable red barrel rune.
That is a good one.
I sometimes just punch it for fun. Plus, it gives you ammo back for some reason. I honestly wish that they gave you the ability, like Master Chief does in Halo Infinite, to just pick up a barrel and throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that feels very
that
good,
was pretty cool.
I need to play Halo Infinite. I know it's not amazing, but it's better than 5, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
It was okay, I seem to remember it being.
Yeah, I loved 4, other than the ending. And some stuff in the middle. And some stuff at the beginning. Okay, Halo 4 has problems. But those Promethean weapons are just... Oh, I love
they're all very basic archetypes, like here's the shotgun complete with over-under action. But, or with break action. But yeah, those were always my favorite weapons. They were... The design, the feel was really good.
Yeah, my only complaint, and I want a mod that can do this. Human weapons should be the weakest. Covenant weapons should be stronger. Promethean weapons should be strongest. And the fact they're all the same damage in the campaign to balance things out really messes things up from a story, like ludonarrative dissonance problem. I mean, sure, humans have improved bullet guns. You can say that. It's just... And there's some situations where, you know, molten metal is going to do better than charged gas, but I don't know.
I mean, that first Halo, they had such a good idea on how to distinguish the human weapons from the Covenant ones. They were balanced, but they were very different. And it feels like they have very much struggled to both keep them distinct, but also
That's a cool
come up with another, like, category of weapon. You know?
So I struggled in this room for a while because I kept falling all the way down. Yeah. I will say
there's just an extra life in here.
I will say the Promethean weapons, their separation is alt-fire mode. That's pretty much all of them have some kind of alt-fire secondary effect. Because, like, I'm not going to lie, the bolt shot is cheap, but dang is it fun to use in multiplayer. I mean, you're a scumbag if you use it, but I'll take that title if it means I get to use it.
I seem to remember this secret encounter giving me some trouble when I first played it, but it's fairly easy now.
It took a while before I knew you could change weapon mods in the weapon selection.
Oh yeah, that's a great time saver. You can just be like, switch to this weapon and select which weapon mod you want it to be, so you don't have to go through the whole animation.
Right. Because that can be the difference between life and death sometimes.
It certainly can.
Oh yeah, one more thought on the Promethean weapons.
Yeah.
The Promethean grenades are useless. They're literally useless.
Oh yeah, I remember them being.
It sucks because they had a cool idea. It was just horrific execution. Anyway, they fixed them in 5, kind of, but I don't know. Anyway, enough Halo talk. We're playing Doom.
No, you're good.
Boom!
I love that one.
That's a good one.
I do like how they have different, like, types of zombies. Like, we got scientist zombies here. We got the possessed or the unwilling. Give some variety.
I like the unwilling because it implies that, well, they didn't want any part of this. I mean, I feel bad for them, but it's a cool flavor. See, this is confusing.
I want to reread their Codex entry in 2016.
Oh, those are so fun. Oh, I would love a mod that made the normal size barrels have the same explosive kick as the big barrels. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be a fun mod.
You make them like 200% bigger just so you know they're kind of something's going on.
Or you make them like glowing red.
Yeah.
Like all these pulsing lights on them.
Yeah. So, what are they supposed to be anyway? Because fusion coils and energy coils and all that crap in Halo, you know, that's kind of explainable. But what are the red barrels supposed to be? Fuel?
I mean, that's the thing. In this universe, the whole premise is that we've run out of energy in the form of, like, gasoline and nuclear fusion. That's why we need Argent.
How the hell do you run out of nuclear fusion energy? That's ridiculous.
You require uranium and plutonium for that, and there's only so much of that in the ground. Well, anyways, we will see you next time.